On a chilly spring morning in 2022, I was making waffles, and I noticed something odd. The steam from the waffle maker was blowing, yes, blowing, away from the kitchen window. Huh? I had always known that this particular window was installed wrong. The kitchen has a fake wall of 1/4-inch plywood on which are hung the cabinets and the tile backsplash. This particular window was screwed to the fake wall, inside the logs. The other kitchen window, the one over the sink, was also weird. Oddly, this window was several inches too small for the rough opening, and the difference made up by a lot of weird trim work. On the inside, however, the kitchen cabinets butted right up to the window frame. In 2023, I painted all of our exterior window trims, and when I got to this kitchen window, I noticed that the trim had a lot of water damage and rot, probably because of this huge shelf that caught snow and rain. On top of that, we had 3 single-pane wood-framed windows that were definitely original to the house, 1968. As you can imagine, these were not terribly efficient. This window is completely frozen over on the inside. Brr. So when we learned just how ridiculously expensive windows are and had to give up on the dream of having all of our windows done at once, these 5 windows became the priority. If we could find affordable windows, we would replace these 5. In our last Saga video, we did replace the worst offender for letting cold air into our house, our old drafty French doors. Now, Andersen did a great job, but they are very proud of their stuff, and we simply could not afford Andersen windows. While we were at a local festival, we stopped by the Champion Windows tent, and we learned a little bit. If Andersen Windows is your Neiman Marcus, Champion Windows is your JCPenney's. The lady at the Champion tent promised us that they could beat Andersen's prices and that they would actually do the job. In August of 2024, we had a representative at the house. As the guy from Champion was measuring our windows, I showed him all of our weird problems, and he assured me no problem, we'll get you the right windows installed, and for only $2,000 each. Yay! Sadly, that is cheaper than Andersen. To address that weird undersized kitchen window, I had him measure the rough opening, not the existing window. Kitchen cabinets can change. The window needs to fit the house. However, this did mean that the cabinets would be in the way for the installers. Now, I can't afford to buy a new kitchen right now. I did just drop $10K on windows. So instead, I would just remove the cabinets during the install, and we would deal with the weirdness later.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it seems like there's this little gap in between those 2 cabinets that allowed 20 years or so of greasy stove smoke to go up in between the cabinets and just stick. No problem though, just a couple of squirts of 409 and ew. Ugh. While we had the cabinets apart, Tammy begged me to replace the old greasy stained vent hood over our stove. Sure, why not? It would seem that the vent hood's actual vent doesn't line up with the hole in the side of the house. Yay! The previous owner's fix to that was just build some kind of a box over the whole thing and assume that the cabinets were airtight. On top of that, I guess at some point in the past someone decided that too much cold air was coming in through the vent and they crammed the whole thing full of paper towels and plastic bags. Maybe someday we'll take something apart in this house and not find a DIY disaster. I spent several hours taking measurements and sitting on the floor of Home Depot digging through duct connectors to come up with a plan. It was kind of like that scene from Apollo 13.
We gotta find a way to make this fit into the hole for this.
Well, she ain't beautiful, but she is airtight and will vent. And there are 2 baffles, 2, to keep the bugs and most of the cold air outside. Finally, on Halloween Day of 2024, the new windows showed up. The old kitchen window openings were cut back all the way to the logs and then rebuilt correctly. And believe it or not, those rough openings were not square. But not to worry, that's what window trim is for. The windows are square, they're installed right, all good. Now, just like with the sliding door, rather than have these guys stay for another whole day trying to trim out these windows to fit my wonky house, I just had them leave the lumber and I'd do it myself. And yes, the kitchen sink window with its misfit kitchen cabinets is weird, but we'll have to figure that out later. The important thing is that the steam from my waffle iron is no longer affected by drafty windows. Now this is the part where I say, and we all lived happily ever after, but no, because a couple of months later, this happened. You see, all modern windows have inert gas pressurized between the 2 glass panes, and they take measurements on your altitude of where you live to decide how much pressure to put in there. Well, apparently somebody screwed up. So yeah, one big wind gust up against an overpressurized window and crack. But no problem, because Champion has a lifetime warranty, right? So I called up customer support, and then a couple of weeks I called them again. And then a month later, I called him again. Until 6 months later, the window finally showed up. And it was the wrong size. We ordered our windows in August of 2024. The installation was that following October. This window cracked in February of 2025. In December 29th of 2025, we finally got our happy ending. Hallelujah. It fits. Yay! Now all we have left is to replace our drafty entrance doors and we'll be done. But you'll have to subscribe to see how that turns out. We'll see y'all next time. I'd like to find out how that turns out because we haven't done it yet and we're broke.